My name is Josh Fryer, and I have Tourette syndrome. Please know I don't refer to this as something I cope with or struggle with or even deal with. I view Tourette syndrome as something I have in the same way I have a car or a t-shirt or any other material possession. This mindset towards what would otherwise be seen as a disability is essentially the heart of my message and the essence of what I'd like to communicate to everyone. In a sentence, Tourette syndrome does not define me. This single sentence is the most important message I can give. Please allow me to elaborate through my own life story. Even though I say I don't cope with Tourette syndrome, that statement doesn't come very easy. There have certainly been a lot of hard times along the way. The average diagnosis age for Tourette's is 7, and I wasn't diagnosed until I was 13 years old. This, of course, led to much heartache during my early puberty years when the tics started to get a lot more noticeable and just more severe. As to be expected, I'd be on the receiving end of a lot of mockery, hurtful actions, and even disciplinary actions before everyone knew what was going on. Before I was diagnosed with Tourette syndrome, there's a lot of misunderstandings about my actions. Unfortunately, I couldn't answer or set right these misunderstandings as I didn't understand what I was doing myself. All I knew was I could not control it. This period of time before I was diagnosed is one I often reflect on. I was able to experience the pain of ignorance, both my own ignorance and other people's. It's very important to understand ignorance simply means to not know any better. The beautiful thing about ignorance is that wherever it exists, there is, by its own definition, room for learning and growing. This beautiful ability to grow and learn is what sets us apart as a human race and makes us uniquely amazing. These are the characteristics that define us and what I'd like to focus on. Once I was diagnosed, I could put a name and, more importantly, a reason to my uncontrolled actions. I was able to ask the right questions and get the right answers. This gave me not only an ability to answer questions for other people, but an obligation. I now had the tools to solve my own ignorance as well as other people's. I could help people see past the exterior sounds and twitches and see the wonderful characteristics and personality that really defines me as a person. Answers, however, are only part of the equation. What good are all the right answers in the world if no one's asking the right questions? There's a sequence of events that must play out in order to reach that point of enlightenment and learning. First off, there must be conversations being had, open conversations about Tourette syndrome and other misunderstood disabilities. I had to learn that if I shied away from every conversation, then I'd never be able to open up and have the opportunity to put an end to this ignorance that's causing so much heartache for me and for other people. I had to develop a confidence in who I actually am as a person, as opposed to this embarrassment of this projected image of being nothing more than a disability. By doing this, I was able to own Tourette syndrome instead of letting it own me. Therefore, the very first and most important step to everything we're trying to accomplish is to truly love myself and understand that Tourette syndrome does not define me. It is merely something I have, something that is misunderstood. Once this understanding is reached, everything else will fall into place. This mindset is a choice and the most important step in moving forward. It's a message to the rest of the world. And as with most things and most messages, it's definitely a two-edged sword. On one hand, I'm speaking to everyone with Tourette syndrome or any disability for that matter. If you don't want others to define you by your disability, you can't define yourself as such. You must secure a genuine love for yourself and understand that you hold the tools for your own success. A disability is not a crutch or a reason not to do something. It is simply something you have and something you must own and embrace. The law of attraction says like attracts like. Others will naturally perceive you the way you perceive yourself. Find self-image in real character traits and natural talents and personality. The other side of this message or the other edge of the sword, as it were, is for everyone else. Whether you're the CEO of a major company or working a minimum wage job, there are human properties that connect us all. Work ethic, integrity, honesty, and anything else that defines us by the nature of a person is not found in the material possessions of that person. Same goes for trying to define someone else by a disability they may have. Once it's understood that disabilities like Tourette syndrome don't define or even affect intelligence, personality, work ethic, etc., There's an obligation to look at that person differently and find out who they really are. To stop living in ignorance and to get to know that person. It's been said so many times to treat someone the way you would want them to treat you. For some reason, this often seems to be forgotten about when dealing with Tourette syndrome and other disabilities. This fundamental policy on human interaction cannot be forgotten. This very simple and powerful characteristic of love stems from how we define ourselves as human beings. We all have the tools in ourselves to be better, and I think it's time we start using them.